This is a news report from February 26, 1986. The Philippine Revolution of 1986, also known as the People Power Revolution, was a non-violent mass uprising that occurred in the Philippines in February 1986. It resulted in the overthrow of the 20-year dictatorship of President Ferdinand Marcos and the installation of Corazon Aquino as president. The revolution is considered to be one of the most significant events in modern Philippine history. The revolution began in January 1986 when the opposition candidate, Corazon Aquino, won a snap election against Marcos's chosen successor, Tobias Fornales. However, Marcos refused to accept the election results and declared martial law. This led to protests in the streets of Manila. On February, the military began to defect from Marcos and join the protesters. On February 22nd, the Catholic Church called for a peaceful protest. And on February 23rd, hundreds of thousands of Filipinos gathered in the streets of Manila to demand Marcos's resignation. Marcos responded by placing the city under martial law and ordering the military to crack down on the protesters. However, the military refused to do so and instead joined the protesters. By February 25th, the situation had escalated and the protesters were able to seize control of several key government buildings, including the presidential palace. Marcos fled the country and Corazon Aquino was sworn in as president on February 27th. The revolution was significant for several reasons. First, it was the first time in Philippine history that a dictator had been overthrown through non-violent means. Second, it demonstrated the power of the people in a non-violent movement. And third, it showed the importance of the Catholic Church in Philippine society. The revolution also had a significant impact on the region. It inspired other movements for democracy and freedom in Asia and Latin America. In addition, it led to a new era of democracy in the Philippines. Under Corazon Aquino's leadership, the country held free elections, the press was deregulated, and human rights were restored. However, the revolution also had some negative consequences. The economy declined sharply during the revolution, and in the years that followed, the country became increasingly unstable. In addition, there was a resurgence of corruption and crime. Nevertheless, the revolution was a significant event in Philippine history, and it remains an important symbol of the struggle for democracy and freedom. This report will discuss the causes of the revolution, the key events that took place, and the significance of the revolution. The causes of the revolution can be traced back to the declaration of martial law in the Philippines in 1972 by then-President Ferdinand Marcos. Martial law gave Marcos and his family control over the country's economy and allowed them to suppress any opposition to their rule. This led to widespread corruption and human rights abuses. Marcos ruled the country with an iron fist for the next 14 years. He kept political opponents imprisoned without trial, tortured, and even killed those who opposed him. He also controlled the media and used it to promote his own agenda. Marcos was also responsible for the assassination of several opposition figures, including Senator Benigno Aquino Jr. in 1983. This assassination sparked massive protests against Marcos's regime. Marcos responded by declaring martial law nationwide. But this only serves to make him more unpopular. By the early 1980s, the Philippine economy was in sharp decline. Inflation was out of control and the country was in debt. This led to massive unemployment and poverty. The people of the Philippines were becoming increasingly frustrated with Marcos's regime and his wife, Imelda, who was seen as being corrupt and out of touch with the realities of life in the country. In 1985, Marcos agreed to step down and a snap election was held. Opposition candidate Corazon Aquino won by a landslide. But Marcos refused to accept the results and instead declared martial law. This led to the 1986 Philippine Revolution. The revolution began on February 22, 1986, when Corazon Aquino called for a peaceful protest against Marcos's regime. Hundreds of thousands of Filipinos responded and took to the streets of Manila. The protesters were met with violence from Marcos's security forces, but they stood their ground. On February 23rd, the Catholic Church called for a nationwide strike. This caused many businesses and government offices to close. On February 24th, the protesters seized control of several key government buildings, including the presidential palace. At this point, it was clear that Marcos's regime was crumbling. On February 25th, Marcos fled the country and Corazon Aquino was sworn in as president. There are a few reasons why the revolution was successful. First, the people of the Philippines were extremely frustrated with Marcos's regime and his wife. They were seen as being corrupt and out of touch with the realities of life in the country. Second, the revolution was supported by the Catholic Church, which was very influential in the Philippines at the time. The church called for a nationwide strike on February 23rd, which caused many businesses and government offices to close. This showed Marcos that he no longer had the support of the people or the church. Finally, the revolution was successful because it was non-violent. The people of the Philippines showed the world that it is possible to overthrow a dictatorship without resorting to violence. This inspired people around the world who were living under oppressive regimes. One of the most important aspects of the revolution was the role played by the people of the Philippines. Ordinary citizens were willing to put their lives on the line to stand up against Marcos's regime. They did not want to live in a country where the president and his family could abuse their power and steal from the people. They also did not want to live in a country where the media was controlled and human rights were taken away. The people of the Philippines showed the world that it is possible to overthrow a dictatorship without resorting to violence. This is one of the most important lessons that can be learned from the revolution. The people of the Philippines were successful because they were willing to stand up for their rights and the rights of their fellow citizens. They were willing to put their lives on the line to fight for democracy and freedom. Another important aspect of the revolution was the role played by the Catholic Church. The church was very influential in the Philippines at the time, and its leaders were respected by both the people and the government. When the church called for a nationwide strike on February 23rd, it showed Marcos that he no longer had the support of the people. This is an important lesson for all those who live under oppressive regimes. The church and other religious leaders can play an important role in the fight for democracy and freedom. Religious leaders have the respect of the people and often have a direct line to the leaders of the government. They can use this influence to stand up against oppression and help bring about positive change. In conclusion, the 1986 Philippine Revolution was a significant event in the country's history. It was the first time in Philippine history that a dictator had been overthrown through nonviolent means. The revolution was successful due to the hard work and bravery of the people of the Philippines, as well as the support of the Catholic Church. The revolution also had a significant impact on the region. It inspired other movements for democracy and freedom in Asia and Latin America. After the revolution, the Philippines entered a new era of democracy. However, the country has continued to face challenges such as economic instability and corruption. Nevertheless, the revolution remains an important symbol of the struggle for democracy and freedom. The bravery of the Filipino people in the face of oppression continues to inspire people around the world today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching.